Hey, good morning. Hope everybody's doing really well. We are here continuing in our study of the Revelation. It's Hardcore Bible Commentary. Pastor Rick Thornhill here with you, just like I am each and every morning at 9:30 on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, of course, and on demand on YouTube and Facebook for all those who miss, sleep in, gotta work, whatever you might have to do. But I hope you guys are doing really well this morning. See a couple people chiming in already. See Mike on here and Sue, Steve and Darlene chiming in on YouTube Live, as well as Jimmy is on our live channel on YouTube. Good morning to you, Connie. Glad to see you. Stephanie, glad you're here. And Eric is here as well. So yesterday we tried to dip into, I would say, what 17 and 18 may be the most difficult passages. Hey, Sherry, glad that you're here. And Tiffany, glad you're here. 17 and 18 become some of the most difficult passages, I would say, maybe in the book of Revelation and maybe even in the Bible, to just kind of interpret the meaning. And 17 and 18 really refer to the fall of Babylon the Great, something that the Bible says, it'll say mystery, right? This is the mystery: Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations on the earth. And what the big things that we can understand from this is that we know that there's going to be a one world order type system. That system is going to, there's going to be an antichrist leader. There's going to be either 10 nations or 10 regions that are ruled by 10 kings who are going to give their allegiance to the Antichrist leader. So this is going to be a political leader, and he is going to have some qualities of all these great empires throughout history, and he's going to have power for a short time. We also know that there's going to be a false prophet. So there's going to be a false prophet who's going to be a leader within this religious system, who is going to put his weight and his influence and his authority also into this antichrist system as well, and have a big part in making people take the mark of the beast, which you won't be able to buy, sell, or trade. So one of the things that this system is going to do is, if you don't pledge allegiance to the system, to the leadership, then financially you're going to be locked out. So it's going to be financial warfare. But the religious system right now, as 2021, there's basically two large religious systems who maybe could fit into this. You have, of course, the Pope, who is a world leader, religious leader. We do know that Catholicism throughout the years has killed many Christians. Many waves of persecution came through the Catholic Church, and most people put of the Catholic faith, they put great they really trust the Pope. They believe that the Pope is God's voice to the people. Also, you have the Muslim system, although that's somewhat more fractured. But we know the Islamic system could come alongside this Antichrist, or there could be some kind of merging of those two systems. We don't know, but we do know that at some point there was a root of false religion that was started at the Tower of Babel. And the Tower of Babel was, of course, in Genesis chapter 11. And this is the root of all false religions. This was the first attempt at starting a one world government under a guy by the name of Nimrod. And, we know that many false religions had sprung out of that system. So Nimrod married a prostitute named Semiramis, and basically she had an affair, got pregnant, killed Nimrod to cover it up. At least this is how the legend goes. And basically the legend became that Nimrod went to, he actually became the sun, and then her child that was born was miraculously born and was Nimrod reincarnated. And then this became sort of all throughout different cultures. The worship kind of sprung out in a different way through Egyptian culture, Persian culture. They all had sort of their telling of this story. And so all these false religions kind of sprung out of there. And so it's a mystery that all false religions had sprung out of one place. So when we look at, the whore of Babylon, it is what the Bible calls and says that, people had committed fornication with her. So this is talking about spiritual, what God would call spiritual adultery. He would call Israel all the time an adulteress because they went after other gods. They didn't follow the true God. So what they're saying is that eventually God is going to bring all of this to an end. All this false religion, idol worship, all of that is going to come to an end. But we also see here that there's also, when it talks about Babylon, it also talks about a city, and it talks about sort of an economic system. So I guess the hard thing to really understand is, where do all these things merge? Because when it talks about like the fall of Babylon, it seems to like kind of put them all in the same category. But a lot of people believe that Babylon is symbolic of, a false religious system, an economic system, a political system. That within all these, it's just like sort of the world system are coming to an end. And basically they're referred to as Babylon because of the Tower of Babel, and kind of how everything started there, that Nimrod started everything from there. So all the way Genesis chapter 11, and now coming full circle, and there's been sort of different offspring of this, different types of kingdoms, different types of, economic systems, different types of world governments. But this final culmination is God bringing all that to an end so that he could eventually rule and reign, and the government will be on his shoulders. So all these ways throughout history that wicked men have tried to basically enslave men. I mean, if you remember, Jesus said that, the Spirit of the Lord is anointed me, to set the captives free, from bondage. So the bondage of a false religion. I mean, if you look at the Muslim religion, and then look at the way that, the women have to walk around, in burqas, covered in a burqa. I seen somebody in Ambridge recently, and we don't have much of a big Muslim population here, but it made me sick. It was like this guy, and then there was this woman that had the full, she had the full cover on, and then she had to walk several steps behind her husband. I mean, if that's not a slave or somebody in bondage, I don't know, what is. You think about, the Jehovah's Witnesses that have to knock at your door, because they're trying to earn their way to salvation, and the more that they give and the more that they give away, the more Watchtower magazines they give away, it's like they're slaves. And then obviously, the world economic system is another way. So you have these false religions that enslave people, and Jesus came to set the captives free. So he's going to bring an end to these false religious systems who all have their origin at the Tower of Babel, but he's also going to bring an end to world economic systems. And if you look at, the way that the systems are, set up, I mean, the systems truthfully are set up that, the rich make the rules, the rich get richer and the poor stay poorer, unless you're able to get on, God's system or you're able to play by kind of their rules. If you see kind of the way that things are today, I mean, basically, school, going through school, like school doesn't really teach you to start your own business, or, it doesn't teach you about things like, real estate investing or, even investing in the markets. Basically, everything is trained so that you'll be a good employee. And ironically, employees are taxed the highest in our system. Their money is gone. They get taxed before, where basically, the way that the system is set up, you have very rich and wealthy people who pay very little in taxes because they're on a whole different system. They're on they have businesses and they own businesses, and because of they own businesses, basically, they everything becomes a business expense for them. So they make profit, they make money, and then they pay taxes on any type of profit they have. And if they have good enough accountants, then things are, set up in a way that they'll have very little profit showing, and so they'll pay very little taxes. So the deck is stacked against people that don't take the time to become, financially literate and learn the ways that these things go. And the system makes it so that, you're kind of shut out of a lot of these things. In addition, they basically will, try to get people in debt. You look at the amount of debt that people get. So, these banks can take the money that's in them and they can, let's say if they have $1 million, on hold. Obviously, these banks probably, most of them have much greater amounts than that. But let's say if they have $1 million, now depending on what that reserve rate is, they can lend that money out several times that amount. And so they lend it out in credit card debt. So a kid goes to college and they have people, signing them up for credit cards there, 25, 29% interest. You see payday loan companies in every poor neighborhood, these check cashing, businesses, payday loans, pawn your car title, all this, and all of that basically takes advantage of people who don't have any money. So it's an oppressing economic system. And, Jesus came to set us free. Borrower is slave to the lender. That's exactly right. And that's why, and the truth is that, that for those of us who are saved, God has an economic system that's based on, putting the kingdom of God first. It's based on, sowing and reaping. That's based on obedience and good stewardship and all this thing. And God can bless you. And so you don't have to be on the world system, or as the Bible calls it, the Babylonian system, that it becomes very hard. And so this economic system, and you're going to see this really come to fruition when the mark of the beast is used. So you're going to have to submit to the world's religious system so that you can participate in the economic system. So these are kind of tied in together, but they're also, according to the Bible, there is one major city that, is going to be completely destroyed, and it's going to be a symbol of the destruction where smoke's going to rise up forever and ever. And the question is really, what is that city? We don't really know, but I guess the big idea here is that, that within these economic systems, religious systems, one world government, it's all going to be smashed into pieces, and all of it falls under this mystery of Babylon the Great. So let's go ahead and let's read, because what we're going to see for the most part is we're going to see the judgment on this world economic system. After these things, I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was illuminated with his glory. And he cried mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a prison for every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hated bird. For the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth has committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth has become rich through the abundance of her luxury. And I've heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues. For her sins have reached to heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Render to her just as she rendered to you, and repay her double according to her works. In the cup which she has mix double for her. In the measure that she glorified herself and lived luxuriously, in the same measure give her torment and sorrow. For she says in her heart, I sit as queen, and I am no widow, and I will not see sorrow. Therefore her plagues will come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she will be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord that judges her. The kings of the earth who committed fornication and lived luxuriously with her will weep and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning, standing at a distance for fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, for that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour your judgment has come. And the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, for no one buys her merchandise anymore. Merchandise of gold and silver, precious stones and pearls, fine linen and purple, silk and scarlet, every kind of citron wood, every kind of object of ivory, every kind of object of the most precious wood, bronze, iron, and marble, cinnamon and incense, fragrant oil, frankincense, wine and oil, fine flour and wheat, cattle and sheep, horses and chariots, the bodies and souls of men. The fruit that your soul has longed for has gone for you, and all the things which are rich and splendid have gone from you, and you shall find them no more at all. The merchants of these things who became rich by her will stand at a distance for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen, purple and scarlet, adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour such great riches come to nothing. Every shipmaster, all who travel by ship, sailors, and as many as trade by sea stood at a distance, and cried out when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What is like this great city? They threw dust on their heads and cried out, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, the great city, in which all who had ships on the sea became rich by her wealth. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. Rejoice over her, O heaven, O you holy apostles and prophets, for God has avenged you on her. So obviously what it's talking about is there has been a great city, a great international city that the nations of the earth, especially the leaders of the earth, had basically been in partnership with. And this is a very rich city, a very rich, probably just an amazing city to look at. And the nations of the earth have partnered with this, even though it was evil. They partnered with the evil of this nation because of the wealth that it had had. Now, many people believe that that this great city of Babylon could possibly be Mecca in Saudi Arabia, or just Saudi Arabia in general. Saudi Arabia has been a country that has been totally shut off to the Bible. You are not allowed to possess the Bible. Conversion in Christianity will result in death. Preaching Christianity will result in death in Saudi Arabia. And the kings of this city, this family, they live in just amazing wealth. Also, if you look at Mecca, this is the largest tourism city in the world that basically all Muslims are supposed to make a pilgrimage to Mecca, and so they come. I think they say something like 1.8 million people will visit every year, and this is a city that even in the West, here in the United States, you see great partnership with. One of the first foreign countries that Donald Trump met with was Saudi Arabia, and there's kind of that weird picture. If you guys had seen it, I'll see if I can dig it up. But where like they're standing and there's like some kind of globe or something there, and they're all putting their hands on the globe, and obviously oil, the oil that has come out of there has made them really, really rich, and they're building over there these great, just crazy looking buildings and cities over there. And also just recently they have actually found inscriptions in, of all places, Saudi Arabia, of one of the last kings of the empire of Babylon. So there's inscriptions there. So this could be the great city. I've always struggled with the fact of why is the United States partners with Saudi Arabia? Why do we partner with evil countries? Why do we partner with a country like Saudi Arabia that persecutes Christians? Why do we partner with countries like China? Why do we partner with countries like China that imprison Christians, that burn down churches, that persecute people, that kill people, that enslave their own people? And they do it because of the sake of money. China is a huge market. Things can get made there very cheaply. So this is another place. But if you think of a country that is fundamentally evil, but yet the countries the kings of this world still partner with them because there's great economic benefit. I mean, what is that? That's obviously compromise. We know that 9/11, that the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. But yet Saudi Arabia did not get attacked. We attacked a country, Iraq, that didn't have anything to do with it. And no doubt that Saddam Hussein was an evil dictator, but at the same time, Saddam Hussein actually left the Christians alone, in his country. They weren't persecuted until after the fall of Saddam Hussein. After the fall of Saddam Hussein, then ISIS came in, and they were the ones who began actually persecuting the Christians. And we've seen that in Syria as well. The president of Syria protected Christians. They had some of the oldest Christian communities in there. And then once, that government was attacked and was tried, they tried to topple it. Basically, the Christians got persecuted. So when we talk about this great city, this is a very wealthy place that is also evil, that more than likely persecutes Christians and Jews, and countries go ahead and partner with them, even though the country is evil, because there's great economic benefit to partner with them. And God is going to bring that to an end. He's going to bring judgment on that city. And as a sign of the judgment, this city is going to burn up in smoke forever and ever. And people are going to weep because, where they thought that they were, able to make money, from this country, the merchants, the people who did business with them, it's not going to happen anymore, because the entire place is going to fall. The Bible says it's going to fall in an hour. Again, that hour is used, we don't know whether it's a literal hour or it's just, that a symbol, like symbolism that it's going to happen very, very quick. Let's go to verse 21. It says, then a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it in the sea, saying, thus with great violence the great city of Babylon should be thrown down and shall not be found any more. The sound of harpists, musicians, flutists, trumpeters shall not be heard in you any more. No craftsman of any craft shall be found in you any more, and the sound of the millstone shall not be heard in you any more. The light of the lamp shall not shine in you any more, and the voice of the bridegroom and bride shall not be heard in you any more. For your merchants were the great men of the earth, for by your sorcery all the nations were deceived. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and the saints, and all who were slain on the earth. So the economic system, the great city, whatever it is, this nation that was very wealthy, that has persecuted Christians and persecuted Jews, who the kings of the world partnered with and got very rich, and basically this country thinks that they're untouchable. And I have had people tell me, I used to work with a guy who was Persian, and he had been to Saudi Arabia, and he said that, it's like, the kings, the royal family are literally treated like gods, and just ungodly amount of wealth. I mean, just incredible amounts of wealth, that are held by, one family. And this family definitely has its tentacles all around the world, and definitely is a persecutor of Christians. And the thing is that at the end of the day, God is judging. So every Christian that was slain, every law that does not allow the preaching of the word to penetrate that country, all of that, and all their wealth as other people suffer, and they build up wealth and they exploit the people in their country, none of it has gone by God. And God is going to judge every bit of it. So in one fell swoop, he's gonna use the beast system, is literally gonna turn on the religious leaders, false religious system. It's gonna be broken. And then God himself is gonna break the economic system in two. He's gonna break it in pieces as he begins to purge the world of the fake religious systems, the fake economic systems, and every mouth that raises it up and rebels against the kingdom of God will now be broken, because God is preparing to come back to earth to rule and reign, and we're going to enjoy the earth the way that we've never seen it, the way that it should have been, the way that it was in the Garden of Eden. That is the way that we're going to enjoy the earth. And so that's Revelation chapter 18. We're going to move on to 19 tomorrow. We're not going to necessarily go through all of 19, but we're going to talk about a big idea, which will be the marriage supper of the Lamb. So the wrath of God has been completed. Babylon has fallen. Now we're going to get into the restoration period, and this is where it's going to get really good, and this is where it's going to be really exciting as we look at the restoration of the world. This is our inheritance. And what an amazing thing, and what an amazing God we have. So, hey, once again, I'm so glad that you joined us. God bless you, and I will see you all very, very soon. Hey, before I get into the ways to give, if you've been watching this and you have some questions, or maybe there's some things, I know that I talk really fast and I cover a lot of ground in here, and so sometimes I like to slow down a little bit. So if you have any questions, you can email them to Pastor Rick Thornhill at gmail.com, and maybe we will take a segment or day and just kind of go over some of your questions. So any of your questions that you want to ask, go ahead and shoot them over. I'll do my best to research and to answer them. If you've been blessed by this ministry and you would like to support it, we would greatly appreciate that, and we will believe that God will bless you for your giving. You can text the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 724-384-7551. You can also click fornewhope.org. Click the donate tab on the front page of the website, and you'll be able to donate there. You can also Cash App me. My cash tag is $Rick, T-H-R-O. And you can mail any type of correspondence, check, or money order to New Hope Ambridge, 592 Beaver Road, Ambridge, PA,